but it is every bit as humid, and the moisture in the atmosphere is quite thick. So we're going to tap into that moisture, and that'll allow for those downpours to occur with some of these thunderstorms for the later afternoon and evening hours. And like yesterday, we may get redevelopment over parts of the region, which could lead to some flooding issues as well, on top of the heavy rains we saw across parts of the region. Many spots saw 1 to 2 inches of rain, according to radar estimates that we had across the area. And we had numerous storm reports across the region as well, dozens upon dozens. So our Weather Watch alert verified for yesterday, and we expect the same for this afternoon, this evening. This is from the Storm Prediction Center, part of the National Weather Service. They have put out a severe weather outlook for today in our region. We are in the marginal risk. That is category 1 of 5 there, if you look at the very top of your screen there. So though it is the lowest category, it's still something that we need to keep an eye on with the damaging wind threat across the region. This does mean, though, the storms that do go severe will be isolated in nature, meaning not every storm will put down severe level winds, but every storm does bring the threat of at least wind gusts, downpours, which could lead to some isolated flooding issues. And there's also the threat for lightning, which is dangerous, which we saw with the case with the event on the National Mall, in which several people were critically injured yesterday evening. So again, if you hear thunder, take those outside plans indoors right away. It is not safe to be outside. You are within striking distance of lightning if you can hear thunder. And the best chance, or the highest chance, for thunder activity and thunderstorms will be late in the afternoon and through your evening hours. Here, this panel shows an isolated storm chance as soon as 4 o'clock. There may even be 1 or 2 in the metro earlier than that, perhaps as early as 2, 3 o'clock. But the bulk of the storms will come in after 5 o'clock. And we'll see scattered showers and downpours here, along with the severe weather threat through the evening hours. I do think the severe threat starts to ease somewhat towards 9, 10 o'clock, but the downpour threat and the thunder and lightning will continue through as late as midnight for parts of the area. In fact, we still had some lingering showers early this morning across the area. So if you're joining us here for this live stream, or you're watching this a little bit later here on YouTube or WUSA 9 Plus, or wherever you may be viewing this Facebook account, our WUSA 9 Facebook account, know that we will be timing and tracking out the storms throughout the entire day. We'll have another update at 9 o'clock. On Great Day Washington, Mary's in, and then Caitlin's in at noon. Topper and Caitlin will be tracking the severe thunderstorms for you later this evening, as they did yesterday evening, with the latest updates on the WUSA 9 ad right here on Channel 9 WUSA 9. So let's go to the Futurecast. I'm going to show you 2 models. Both have slightly different ideas of what will happen this afternoon, but I want to give you a flavor of what we're going to be dealing with here. So don't take any model as written in stone. The idea is that each model has its different placement. It shows you sort of how things could play out in the atmosphere later today. Again, we have plenty of moisture. We're going to have what we call a trough, or a very weak boundary moving through that'll provide that lift we need for those thunderstorms, and leftover what we call outflow boundaries from yesterday's activity may also help produce isolated storms across the area later today. Through the morning, it's mainly dry. Yes, scattered clouds. We have that now, but the sun is still out there. We're still going to warm up, and by noon, we're already in the mid-upper 80s here in the metro, with widespread 80s across the region. This is 12:30 on this particular Futurecast. This one is from the HRR model. For those who follow modeling, the idea is that not worried about storms before noon. But once we get to about 2 o'clock, storms start flaring up here across portions of the Shenandoah. We may have a few across West Virginia. 1 or 2 may even be close to Cross Junction, the Winchester area, maybe Romney and Berkeley Springs, and over at Hancock and some of our Allegheny Mountain areas as well. 1 or 2 may even make it as far east as Martinsburg, Hagerstown, and perhaps Front Royal and Culpeper by the time we get to 3 o'clock this afternoon. This model doesn't show, and I'm going to show you a different model that does. But we may pop a storm in the metro at this point too, because temperatures will be up around 90 degrees. We'll get enough sunshine to heat the atmosphere. We'll get some convection going. That's the air movements here of that hot air trying to move upwards in the atmosphere, producing that growing cloud, those building clouds across the area, those cumulus clouds, and they could put down those downpours. So again, 1 or 2 possible in the metro and surrounding parts of the DMV by 3, 4 o'clock. But the more widespread stuff will be west of the district until we get to 5, 6 o'clock. Once we get to around 5 o'clock, I think Leesburg, Frederick, perhaps even Rockville, Clarksburg, over to Sterling, Ashburn, and Herndon, and southwards through the Manassas, Bull Run area. You need to be on watch for these storms plowing eastbound. One or two may even make it to the district at this point, Arlington, Alexandria, and other parts of Metro Washington. This is 6 o'clock on our modeling, and it's not going to play out exactly like this, but expect widespread shower and storm activity at this point here across our region. Again, with that boundary nearing the area and the various forcing mechanisms in the atmosphere. Again, we lift up that moisture, we build those cumulus clouds, and that's how we get these stronger thunderstorms. They tap into some of that energy that exists from the ground all the way to the top of the cloud level. So scattered storms, some of which strong to severe, putting down damaging winds. That would be 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts or stronger, isolated in nature, but they'll be out there. In addition to that, dangerous lightning and, of course, the flood threat may be developing at this time. It may not quite be we're not quite in flood mode at this point, but I think the weather watch alert will be verifying at this time around 6, 7 o'clock, where some of those bigger storms will be moving through Metro Washington. We'll take it to 7 o'clock here on the Futurecast, and notice how this particular modeling, again, has big storms, Martinsburg over to Thurmont and Mount Airy, right on down through Olney, back to Beltsville and Greenbelt and places like Bowie and Capitol Heights, right on down through Northeast Washington and over to Brandywine as well. Some hefty storms in around La Plata, south towards Leonardtown, maybe over to Mechanicsville. There may be a couple in around Annapolis and Chesapeake Beach as well. And Fredericksburg, I think you may have already been hit by at least a couple storms by this point. Stafford, Manassas area and down through Warrenton, and maybe even some lingering showers and storms west of the metro, out towards Martinsburg, Berryville, and Front Royal area here. Another round of storms may flare up west of I-81, so we'll be watching you guys again from Romney to Berkeley Springs and towards the Paw Paw and Hancock areas. Scattered storms in around Baltimore, down through Andrews Base and Clinton, Brandywine area. Now, like yesterday, the modeling had storms east of the metro by 8, 9 o'clock. I don't think that's completely accurate. There could be more storms over the district still at that time. That happened yesterday. The modeling had the storms east of us, but the storms had already popped back up because there's just so many what we call outflow boundaries, these little boundaries of gusty winds that come from the downdrafts of the thunderstorms. They kind of flow out, and they can help pop up more storms. They can help lift up that lingering moisture, and with an unstable atmosphere like we're going to see this evening, we could see more storms pop up even in areas that the modeling shows as dry. So you may not be out of the woods in Leesburg and Arlington and Falls Church at 8, 9 o'clock. You may still see storms in your area from Rockville to Potomac and down through the city of Fairfax as well. Herndon, Alexandria, Kingstown, and Springfield areas. We'll be watching you guys through the evening, even down to Stafford, Spotsylvania, and Fredericksburg and Falmouth as well through 8, 9 o'clock. In fact, at this time, this may be when we're switching to more of a flood threat with downpour. So even though the modeling has all the rain and storms to the east, that may be displaced too far east, or there may be a second batch of storms right on top of Metro Washington all the way through 10, 11 o'clock tonight. Here is 11:30 tonight. Still some lingering storms showing up on the model. Even west of town, there may still be some lingering showers and storms around Martinsburg, Winchester. We saw that overnight last night. Now I'm going to switch models. This is our in-house model. We call it the graph, and I'm going to take you through the timeline of today again. Similar story. Not much happening before noon, but by 1 o'clock, look how it has one or two storms popping near Baltimore. We saw that yesterday. A couple did pop up in around the metro and Baltimore metro as soon as 2, 3 in the afternoon, and then more storms out here into West Virginia and down through parts of the Shenandoah. So we'll be watching you guys first west of town, but by 2, 3 o'clock, 1 or 2 may flare up right there. You see how it kind of just blew up over parts of Prince George's and Montgomery counties and then moved to the north and east. That could happen again. This is 3 o'clock. That could happen here. It could start in Fairfax County, move across Prince George's County, could start in Prince William and move over to Charles. The idea is that it could be anywhere in the metro as soon as 2, 3 o'clock with the widespread activity west of town. Again, to Berryville, out towards west of Gainesville along 66 over to Front Royal, Cross Junction, Stevens City, and right on down through the Charlestown area, and we'll be watching you guys in that 1, 2, 3 o'clock time period. Then the widespread stuff gets into Metro Washington 4, 5, 6 o'clock. Notice the scattered downpours. Some of these could be severe thunderstorms. Flood risk is there as well, and we'll keep that going through 5, 6 o'clock. Here is this model. It puts storms right on top of D.C. right at 5 o'clock. Right on top of Alexandria, Silver Spring, Arlington, and over to Capitol Heights right at 5 o'clock. And this is up and down that 95 corridor. This can make for a messy and at times dangerous evening commute right along that 95 corridor for anyone who has to walk or cycle back home from work, or anyone who's going to that evening shift. If you're waiting on the metro station, some of those outdoor stations, just be mindful of the fact that there could be some thunder and lightning happening at that time as you're walking to and from the metro and across the area here through 5, 6 o'clock this evening. This model, again, has everything displaced to the east by 6, 7 o'clock. Has some big storms down through Mechanicsville, Dahlgren area and over to Colonial Beach, and 1 or 2 bigger storms in around Anne Arundel, Calvert counties into the eastern shore. I think there could be lingering storms still here in the rest of the metro, even as far west as Leesburg, Winchester, Frederick, and over to Hagerstown as well. 7:30, see how it pops more storm? It popped another storm right on top of D.C. So it gives you a flavor of what to expect. These storms will flare up, they'll move off, and then another batch may pop up across your neighborhood. Like yesterday, some of us saw 2 to 3 rounds of stronger thunderstorms. Not necessarily severe weather, but downpours and creating some flooding issues, ponding on the roads, scattered power outages. Not a ton yesterday, but a few, and even a report of a water spout over there on Smith Island, which is way south here towards the Virginia border along the Chesapeake Bay. The amount of rain will vary. Some spots could be upwards of an inch, while others will see very little. This model has hardly anything for Manassas. I think everyone will get some rain, and some spots could see over an inch of rain, while most of us will get a quarter to an inch of rain with the activity that moves through later this evening. Now, into the rest of the weekend, even though we are not on weather watch alert on Saturday, we'll monitor for Saturday because there is a threat for some storms. It looks like the bulk of them will be west of the metro in the afternoon, and then they seem to try to move into Metro Washington right around the evening. So if you have Saturday late afternoon evening plans, Metro Washington and anywhere in our part of the DMV, all the way west to the Allegheny and east to the Bay and south to Fredericksburg, you want to be on watch just in case. Keep the WUSA 9 weather app handy. There could be isolated flooding issues again, and maybe even 1 or 2 strong to severe thunderstorms on Saturday. I do think we will see fewer storms, though, Saturday in comparison to what we will see today and what we saw yesterday. And then Sunday, it looks even less active, which is probably a bit of good news. It will be hotter, though, so the heat is there. We may still be able to pop 1 or 2 storms in the afternoon and through the evening hours. But again, this model doesn't have a ton. And in fact, even though it has storms getting into the metro on Sunday evening, it kind of dies them out before they even get to D.C. So again, a lot to watch in the next couple of days. With that said, let's just do a quick recap of your forecast. This afternoon, we're scattering in showers and storms. Some could be strong to severe, damaging winds. The primary threat, there may even be some small hail, but no damaging hail expected. And though we don't expect tornadoes, we could see another water spout like what we did yesterday with a couple of those cells there along the bay. So keep that in mind if you're going to be out on the bay later today. 80s to low 90s. Again, a touch cooler than yesterday, but still plenty of heat, plenty of humidity. 3-day outlook. Again, we're showing that we have that weather watch alert for today. Scattered strong storms this afternoon, this evening. We've issued that weather watch alert for the afternoon and evening hours. And then rolling into Saturday and Sunday, we've got another chance for scattered storms afternoon and evening on Saturday. And then I'm going to go isolated, so less numerous or fewer storms for Sunday. The heat is on through next week. Now, we've got the 7-day and the 10-day outlook on the WUSA 9 app. You could see when we get a cool down. I'll give you a hint. It's in the middle of next week, but more storms are likely heading into next week. So that's it for now. I'm meteorologist Chester Lampkin here with your weather watch alert. We'll continue to watch and monitor the severe weather threats through the afternoon and expect another update throughout the day right here on WUSA 9 and WUSA 9 Plus.